No, it doesn't. All right, this is like a special add-on to our last video we just did here because we were watching it and I made a mistake in the book of Daniel talking about. I combined actually two different things that happened in Daniel about the three dudes. I'll say the three dudes, you know, those
Shadrach,
guys,
Meshach,
yeah,
and
those
Abednego.
guys, yes, and Daniel, by him by himself. Okay, about the worshiping. The other guys were not going to bow down to a statue. But
Nebuchadnezzar.
They were never going to bow down. Yes,
Right.
never going to his statue, and then they got thrown into the obviously the
Fiery
fire
furnace.
pit and
Fiery pit.
fire furnace,
Fiery
not the
furnace.
pit, fire furnace. Okay.
Yeah, and Nebuchadnezzar was really ticked off at them for not bowing down.
Yep.
And so that was a bow down command, and they said, our God is able to protect us from the fiery furnace, but even if He doesn't protect us, if He decides that we're going to incinerate in this fiery furnace, let it be known, O King, that we're not going to bow down. So they took whatever the consequences of not obeying the king into their hands. And then we had Daniel, who was way later.
Yes, I put them together.
Darius, who, and I didn't even pay. I was like listening right until.
What?
And Darius loved Daniel. I mean, and so, and the guys that were against Daniel, they just hated Daniel. The rest of the guys, they're like, how on earth can we trip up Daniel? And there was nothing they could find. Daniel was so good. Yeah. He was so faithful. He was so dependable. Everything he did was wonderful. The only thing they could do is, we got to trip him up on God. The only way we can do is trip him up on his God. So they convinced Darius, who loved Daniel and would never have done anything to harm Daniel, to make a proclamation that nobody could pray to anybody except him, no God in this time period. And Daniel didn't say anything. He just walked up and did his normal prayers.
Yeah, he heard him talking, but he slept on, you know.
You know, when they said the decree, he didn't go, well, I have to obey the decree. God would expect me to obey the. Neither did Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego with the decree.
They obey God.
No, he says you have to obey God. So that was our thing about obeying God. So then the other one was a lion den. You know, throw him in with the lions.
And then and the people that after what happened to the people that
On
they
both
caught
of
were
them.
lying, and they got. I love
The liars got thrown into the lake of fire.
Yeah,
into the lake of fire now. Eventually they did.
They probably
the
went to the lake
liars
of
got
fire
because they went from being evil to the furnace to the lake of fire.
The others got
then
eaten
they were
by
in
a
hell,
bunch
and then
of-
eventually hell's thrown in the lake of fire.
And the ones that Daniel got thrown into the lion's
Lions,
pit, even
yeah.
their families, with their
Daniel
wives
was
and children
saved.
also
Yeah,
got thrown
Daniel
in
was
there.
saved, and the king loved Daniel so much when he couldn't even change his decree.
Nope.
So because with the Medes and the Persians, they couldn't even change their own decree. Now Nebuchadnezzar was Babylonian. He didn't want to change his decree. He was like puffed up at that point. But
Well, he ended up, of course, he got, you know,
he
kind of had to
eventually,
learn
yeah,
that
he
little
learned
way
the hard
afterwards.
way,
Yeah,
but
what
then
happened to
eventually
him.
he
Yep.
learned too. But Darius already knew, and he already loved Daniel, and he didn't want anything bad to happen to Daniel. So he, you know, Daniel after he had to shut him in with the lions, and he's like in the lion's den, and he's like, and he comes in the morning, he's up all night.
I
and
couldn't
he's
eat.
so
Yeah, he
worried,
couldn't. Yeah, he was
couldn't
worried
do
about
anything. He
him.
just couldn't
Yep.
even handle it. And then in the morning he says, Daniel, was your God able to save you? And he goes, yes. You know, he saved him, and he took him out. And then of course Darius threw in all the bad guys in the
Yep,
family,
and the whole family.
and the lions just crunched those guys down.
Before they hit the ground, they were gone.
Well, they were gone. You know,
See?
so yeah, so you may look like, you know, when you. So we just wanted to clarify that,
Yeah,
because they're all both in Daniel. They're both in the book
And
of
I
Daniel.
just read the book of Daniel not too long ago, but I kind of combined everything. There was two stories together. It's like two things of Daniel, two books.
And
I mean,
we
two
go,
like not
you
two
know-
like your party. That
Right.
those three dudes. I'll say it again, the three dudes.
Shadrach,
And
Meshach,
Daniel, I
and
kind of
Abednego.
combined him as the one thing, no statue
Right.
or whatever. So yeah, so sorry about that. I was watching that.
you
Wait, I
know-
didn't sound right. What is going on? We watched it.
I know, because we had a little bit of time today. Normally we don't have this much time. We couldn't just run another one in. But I have extra couple hours here. So
Yeah.
when we listen to it, and I'm like, Moana, that's
Yeah, it's not. I said, wait, how is it look? It wasn't. That's not the right one.
But,
But,
like,
it's
well,
okay. God
I
knew
know.
we had to clarify. He's
And then, you know, now you got a little bit more on Daniel.
Yes.
You know, and disobedience to wrong and to obedience to God.
that's right. Yeah.
You know, and sometimes the obedience to God, I mean, is just being faithful to God and what God
That's right,
gives
yeah.
you.
Like those guys
So-
did there. Those three dudes.
And he
Daniel.
said, even if God would have incinerated us in the fiery furnace, we still wouldn't obey. We still
Yeah, right,
wouldn't
no,
obey
yeah.
you, because we're not going to bow before any
They're not gonna
statue.
bow that statue. Yeah,
And
that
we're
was
not
his
going
statue.
to
Yes,
not
that
going
was
to
that
worship
statue.
any other person other than God. So all of them.
And
all
Daniel
of
was
them-
like going to still pray to God, and it wasn't going
Right.
to bother him. He said, "No, I'm still
He
going to pray to
wasn't
God."
going to pray. He wasn't going to only
Stop
pray
pr-
to Darius.
Yeah, no.
So Darius, you know, when the bad evil people, they'll flatter, you know, they'll do all this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, King, you're so wonderful. We should have this. He doesn't. He's just thinking of all the wonderful things these people are saying. He's not
Yeah.
saying, oh, I wonder if they're going to trip Daniel up on this.
Yeah, of course, you never thought of that.
No,
he's not
he
thinking
doesn't.
like that way. He's not
And that's
thinking
why
like
you have
that.
to watch out for flatterers. Flatterers will make you ignore what's important in your life. They'll make you think about, oh, that's I'm so glad you appreciate me. Well, flatterers don't appreciate you. They're using you. So flatterers, I mean, it's different when you really appreciate somebody and you love them. Like, that's wonderful.
Oh, that's right. I'm going to...
But, you know, there's flatterers that don't love you, don't care about you,
Right, yeah.
use you and abuse you and manipulate you with their words.
That's what happened in there with the guys
Right.
in Daniel, those guys that look what happened to them in the end.
Right. You don't want to be those guys. You don't want to be manipulators that wind up, you know, eating, firing.
And firing.
No matter what,
Yes,
they're going to
nothing
wind
happened
up
to
in the lake of fire.
Yeah,
Even
at the end
if
anyway,
nothing
somewhere.
happens in this life, yeah. So, okay, that's just a clarification.
Yep, I had to do it. It's like, we had to do it. It's like, wait.
I know. It's
in
like,
a-
just in case you guys like, what? The
What's
people
talking
that
about?
read the Bible, and it didn't take us more than a minute when we actually were just watching instead of talking.
And realized it was like, wait, that's wrong. That's kind of two things combined together. They're not
Yeah.
the same.
But both all faithful to God.
Yes, that's right. So,
Okay.
so
Well,
bye
stay
again.
strong.
And stay strong. I'll see you later next time. God bless.